everybody, so I just did this teenage makeup tutorial. It's just a very light, natural look. If you guys want to go see it, I'll link it to you. But I wanted to do 2 videos today, so it's like, you know what, I'm gonna do 2 videos today. And today we are going to talk about the difference between whole grain versus whole wheat. And I think that you guys know, hopefully if you've watched me for a while, you know that I've drilled into your brain not to eat white breads. I'm sure that if you watch TV or health channels or nutrition or anything like that, you know not to eat white bread. But I still think that there is a big misconception and a little bit of confusion when it comes down to what's good and what's not. Because there's white bread, there's multigrain bread, there's whole wheat bread, there's whole grain bread, and a lot of people don't know what's the difference and what's better for me, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about them. We all know that white bread is bad. The reason why is because it causes a big spike in our insulin levels, and that can cause weight gain and can be very, very yeasty, and it can cause other hormone levels to rise as well as insulin. So we're always told to eat the brown bread. Brown bread is not always whole grain. If a product says wheat bread or enriched wheat, that's just basically white bread. Even if it doesn't say white bread, if it just says wheat or wheat flour, that's just white bread. For instance, Subway, their wheat bread is not wheat. It's not whole wheat. It's just wheat and they put brown in it. So all that is white bread. The best choice at Subway would actually be a different roll, and if you guys want a Subway video, then I'll show you one if you really, really want. But wheat bread at Subway is not actually whole wheat. And that just goes to show that just because it's brown doesn't necessarily mean that it's safe for you. Another bread that you may want to avoid is called multigrain. Multigrain means more than one grain. So then we have to talk about what is a grain. Rice is a grain, barley is a grain, quinoa is a grain. Grains are these different things, and they're put into bread. So it's a multigrain bread. So that doesn't mean that it's whole grain. It could be white rice, quinoa, or white barley, things like that. And it's not whole and nutritional. It could be just white rice and then whoop, white bread. So just because it's multigrain does mean that it has different grains in it, but it does not necessarily have the whole grain. Now if you see whole multigrain, that's different because it means the whole grain. And grains are built in different parts. There's a little part in the middle of the grain, and that's the white stuff. That's the the highest in carbohydrates. That's what is made of white bread. Now there's a husk around this, and it protects it. This husk is what's in whole wheat. The white one is, we basically take the husk off and just eat the white when we're eating white bread. Now when we have the little white part but it's covered in the whole grain and we push this into breads or whatever, that's what whole grain is. It's using the entire edible part of the grain, not just the little white part in the middle. So the whole grain is the entire grain, whether that's rice, whether that's barley, whether that's quinoa, whether that is wheat. It's the entire part of it, not just the little bad part. Now the entire part is a protective shell. It protects this little inside. So if we eat that, of course it's not as not as carbohydrate full as the little white part, and it has more nutrition on the outside. So that's why whole grain is a good option, because it contains the entire grain that does contain those nutrients, minerals, and vitamins. Now whole wheat is different. Whole wheat is like whole grain because we're using the entire part of it, but we're not using other grains, we're just using the wheat. So whole grain is using the entire grain of any of those, like rice or barley or quinoa or wheat. Whole wheat is using the entire part, but just of the wheat particle. So whole wheat is not going to have whole rice like the whole grain bread might have. So whole wheat just concentrates solely on wheat. And again, it's that idea that white bread is taking this very little inside that's protected, but we're taking the entire thing, the entire package, and we're grinding it up into an edible flour. That's why sometimes whole grain or whole wheat might taste crunchier, or it might be, it has like a little bit more sticking out of it. That's how you can tell if it's just dyed brown, but it's really, really soft and squishy. It's probably just white bread dyed brown. Or if it actually has those pieces and bits of grains in them, it's probably whole wheat or whole grain. But like I said, whole wheat is just the wheat part. Whole grain is the entire grain, such as oats, the entire oat, or the entire rice. That's why oatmeal is bad for you, because it's so quickly processed. It's just the very, very inside. If you have like steel cut or really, really thick oats that take forever to cook, those are the ones that have the entire grain on them. Otherwise, it's just a little inside. So you can generally tell if a bread is good is, of course, if it has all that stuff in it, or if you check the nutrition labels and it says it has a lot of fiber. If it's high in dietary fiber, then it's probably a better choice. Also, like I said, read the ingredients. Look for whole wheat, whole grain, or 100% whole wheat. Avoid multigrain if you can, and avoid anything that says enriched or processed or just plain old wheat. Also, some breads may have high fructose corn syrup or nutritional additives like that. You may want to avoid those too, but that's more of your preference. So I hope that this kind of helps clear things up for you guys. I hope that if you had questions, they are now answered. If you guys have any more, be sure to leave them in the comments below, and we will all try to work on them for you. Because it's a fun way to learn and kind of interact, and I get to know you guys, and I get to learn some new questions and even have some questions myself. You have no idea how many questions I have, like, once I read the comments. It's like, it's really, really fun and weird, and then I go research it, and then I bring you another video. So I love you guys so much. Hope that you found this informative and helpful, and I'll talk to you on the next video or in this tutorial. Love you guys. Bye.